So I'm pretty sure many of you guys already know the NFL Scouting Combine is currently going on in Indianapolis. So on Wednesday and Thursday, Bill O'Brien and Brian Gaine were interviewed, and this is the first time they've been interviewed since the end of the season. So we finally got little tidbits on what the Texans plan to do this offseason. I did come away with, a few little interesting things here and there. Some things you guys might get excited about, some things you guys might get pissed about, and some things some people might over-exaggerate about. Now, the first thing, Deontay Foreman, apparently he looks really good. The Texans are really pleased with how he's been looking. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't really been the most fair person to Deontay Foreman. The second he tore that Achilles, I just stopped counting on him. Just didn't even count him in when I was talking about the Texans running backs, and that might have been a little unfair. And honestly, the fact that the Texans are saying this about Foreman, especially coming from Bill O'Brien, Bill O'Brien last season didn't really have a good tone when talking about Foreman, so he was clearly upset about something regarding Foreman. But now, apparently they're actually excited about him, and it's finally got me excited about Foreman again, because again, when Foreman got drafted, I was so excited. I really wanted him on the Texans before he even got drafted, and he did get drafted. I was so excited, but then he tore that Achilles, and I was like, his career's done. I'm done with him. But now I'm actually excited about Foreman again. Hopefully he can come in and, make something happen. The next thing, I'm pretty sure you guys already know this too. Bill O'Brien's going to be calling the plays next season. He kind of tried tiptoeing around the question, not really answering the question, just, giving us a bunch of junk. But you could pretty much tell that he's going to be calling the plays, and Kelly might be calling the plays next year if O'Brien gets another year, or towards the end of the season, late in the season, second half of the season, whatever you want to call it. Now, a lot of people need to understand, when you really look at these interviews, you really kind of gotta take everything with a grain of salt, and you really have to kind of decipher what they really mean, because all these coaches and GMs, all they're throwing out is, little smoke screens. Like, they're not going to tell you what exactly they're going to do. They'll give you a few little things here and there, but they're not going to tell you everything. They're not. So you kind of really have to sit there and really think about what they're really saying, and, hope that you actually understand what they're really saying. Now, the next thing. Texans pretty much want Jadeveon Clowney back. Apparently, after the scouting combine, Brian Gaine will meet with Jadeveon Clowney, Tyrann Mathieu, and Kareem Jackson. Now, when Bill O'Brien talked about Tyrann Mathieu and Clowney, especially Tyrann Mathieu though, he talked great about him. He talked him up. But whenever he talked about Kareem Jackson, he kind of said, it's all business. So to me, it sounds like Tyrann Mathieu, they're going to try to bring him back, and Kareem Jackson will most likely walk. Now, it is possible that they both come back, but again, Tyrann Mathieu is, in my opinion, clearly priority number one after Jadeveon Clowney. I don't think Kareem Jackson is coming back. Now, the next thing, and I've seen a lot of people tripping about this on Twitter. They asked Brian Gaine, is Lamar Miller your starter? Brian Gaine said yes. And a lot of people are tripping about that. Now, again, and I never understood this, but a lot of fans get mad at the way O'Brien talks in press conferences, and now they got mad at a question Brian Gaine talked about in a press conference. Now, again, to me that makes no sense, because at the end of the day, it's all coach talk, GM talk, trying to be, correct and do right. Because obviously, if they asked him, is Lamar Miller your running back, starting running back? Brian Gaine's not going to say no. he's obviously going to say yes, you know? Like, he's not going to say no. So, just because Brian Gaine said yes doesn't mean that Lamar Miller is indeed going to be the starting running back. Or that they're not going to bring another running back in, even though I do think with them saying that about Foreman, you know, Foreman looking good, I do think running back is not really that high of a priority. I think they'll probably pick a running back in the 5th, 6th round to replace Alfred Blue, but I just don't see them making a huge move for a running back, unfortunately. So, you know, again, at this point, usually everything is just smoke screens and mirrors. So, Brian Gaine could be saying, yes, you know, Lamar Miller is our starting running back, but that doesn't mean they won't go for Le'Veon Bell. Again, Brian Gaine is not going to say, you know, they ask him, is Lamar Miller your starting running back? Brian Gaine is not going to say, no, Lamar Miller will not be our starting running back. In fact, we're going after Le'Veon Bell. That's just not how it works in sports. So I really wouldn't be too upset about that answer. Now, the next thing. Kevin Johnson is gone. Most likely. At least that's what I got from it. And a lot of people as well on Twitter, that's what they got out of it too. And I mean, it makes sense. You save $9 million if you cut Kevin Johnson. I mean, pretty much the way Brian Gaine talked about it, you know, it's kind of parting ways with him, you know, doing what's best for the team, still in the evaluation process, you know, like throwing around all these, you know, GM terms. So, but to me, it just sounded like Kevin Johnson gone. Now the next thing, and I'm pretty sure this one will piss a lot of people off, and it kind of low-key, you know, triggered me a bit. Brian Gaine said Seantrell Henderson is a starting right tackle. Okay, I know what you guys are probably thinking. What the hell? I mean, that was my initial reaction too. But when you really sit back and think about it, look at everything. Just look at everything. Again, this comment Gaine made on Henderson, smokes and mirrors, 100%. Why? Well, if it wasn't, then in the Senior Bowl about a month ago, that means Brian Gaine and the Texans coaching staff wouldn't have met with Andre Dillard, one of the top tackles in the draft. They wouldn't have met with Dalton Risner, one of the top tackles in the draft. Here in the Combine, they wouldn't have met with Jawan Taylor, another top tackle in the draft. I believe they're going to meet with Greg Little too. So, they're meeting with all these top tackles, but yet Seantrell Henderson is your starting right tackle? No. Again, that to me, that comment, that answer, smokes and mirrors, nothing more, nothing less. That's all it is. Again, Brian Gaine's not going to tell everyone, oh, you know, we're drafting Dalton Risner. Dalton Risner will hopefully be our right tackle. You know, he's not going to say that. So it's just coaching talk, GM talk. Now the next thing, Martinez Rankin competing. So, you know, Gaine was pretty much asked a question about Martinez Rankin. He pretty much said that he sees Martinez Rankin as, I think, called him a two-gap player. He could even snap the ball if you need him to, and he'll get a chance to compete. So, what I've been saying since the season ended was that Martinez Rankin will most likely be our starting left guard. I really do 100% believe that. I think our O-line will be Julian Davenport, Martinez Rankin, Nick Martin, Zach Fulton, and a rookie right tackle. I think that will be our offensive line. I think Martinez Rankin's going to get a shot, and unfortunately, I do think Julian Davenport will also get a shot. Why? Because both Brian Gaine and Bill O'Brien kind of said it, that they're kind of going to rely more on, you know, developing their players. So, yeah. Now, the overall tone I got from these interviews was that the Texans were going to rely more on the draft rather than free agency to build their team. Now, I don't think it just means that the Texans are going to sit on $90 million cap. That's not what it means. What I think it means is you're not going to see the Texans go for Trent Brown. You're not going to see the Texans go for, Ronald Darby. But you'll probably see the Texans go for some smaller name free agents to add depth to the team. And then use the draft to really build, on your core players that you already have. And overall, from what I'm seeing and hearing, the Texans are currently only looking at offensive linemen and running backs. So I don't know, maybe they plan on bringing in a corner during free agency or something. I really don't know. We'll find out soon enough. So anyways, that's all I got from the interviews. Comment down below if you think I missed anything. And be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.